Here's a dossier of exactly what you may not be looking at. And then also, I'm going to bring you a solution because I also don't have time to be sitting here all day making you feel like it's all over when it's really not. Nothing in infinity is. And that I just want to take up your time and get up some fucking likes. Excuse my language. Get some likes and some subscribes. And now when I'm done, I got to come up with the next thing again to get the same likes and subscribes. That would be madness. So I'm here for a specific reason, to just highlight to you why you've been also holding your station as a pillar, continuously holding up the vibration of the co-creation and doing your responsibility. This is my responsibility to bring this to you. After watching the conscious community and seeing, what are the conversations about? Nobody's talking about these bills that keep going up higher and higher and these expensive ass organics. Nobody's addressing the elephant in the room, Gaia TV shoveling in $30 million a month, still not one conscious school free for the kids. You see what I mean? So nobody wants to toe that line. And at the end of the day, even when you bring awareness to it, you're just, it's like entertainment for people. So you got to build solutions, but you need to know what you're building solutions around. Obviously, artificial intelligence is here. These are jobs like machine learning and computational skills and data set integration. Boring. You do it. This is not, I'm water. I want to run around. I want to dance. I want to connect. You know what I mean? I don't want cyber eye and, feel all deadened out and be all malnurtured sitting in front of a screen all day. Where are the other jobs? Soft skills. This is their term. We need to make sure that Dante is not really getting rude. We need to teach him more soft skills so he understands that when someone asks him for something in the job place, that he doesn't have to catch an attitude and that he needs to be here at the proper time. These are soft skills. This is basically where we completely domesticate everybody who doesn't have one of these technological jobs to make them to be able to be dealt with and to do what we tell them to do and to not cause disruption. Get them ready for soft skills, customer service and packing packages and loading drones. Everybody else on UBI. Any idea of sovereignty out of the picture. And you're right here. I can give you 2 years when this is going to run out. But you're still right here in a time in which it has not completely happened yet, and you can still make a move. And that's why I'm here today to explain to you why you would need to make a move and what are your options if you don't want to all of a sudden go and get a degree in STEM and sit in front of a computer and program all day after you've just figured out how to get full lotus complete and a full circulatory breath. UBI, of course, is here. It's not emerging. It is the solution for everybody else. It should just be called EBE, everybody else. Whoever does not fit inside of that profile that they're looking for to stabilize them, it's UBI. There's purchase regulation, as I mentioned earlier. This is when I tell you what you can and cannot buy. There is a grading system, just like China is using right now, where infractions such as not having the shot or too many traffic tickets or these kind of things actually take you down in points. So that way you cannot receive as much in the UBI system. And then, of course, there's the income regulation in itself, which is like they do on welfare. If you're on UBI, you should not be hustling. You should not be taking money under the table over somewhere and having some juice factory going on over there selling juices. If you're getting any of our benefits, when was the last time that we had a chance to stand up on our feet and actually even be able to comprehend what I'm even being able to bring forth right now? If you're at a 70% comprehension of what I'm even saying right now, you're a damn genius. If you want to hear that, I'm telling you right now, because a lot of folks could look at something like this and just dumb out. And also, if you don't understand what I'm saying, this is also a big opportunity for you not to have to try to study the universe, which would be like 1 billion books. The automated wealth has emerged. You already saw it. It was getting a little scary for everybody as they kept showing the commercials of these robots back there working in a factory. So much to a point where people kind of start thinking that the robots weren't really working in the factory anymore. And we went beyond all of that. And then now, we're all ethical. It cracks me up when I see one of these TED Talks and they're talking about some of their new inventions like CRISPR, which can edit DNA right in line. Right? And then they always say, well, there's some ethical issues and I'm here today to explain that there's going to be some ethical issues that we have as we go forward with using this emerging technology. But truly imagine someone not having cancer and imagine someone hearing their child for the first time. So we really need to come to this forum and actually begin to have this conversation. And I'm like, in Russia, there is no conversation. In other places around the world, they have access and are also a part of these same companies, and they don't need to go in front of no bureau, no committee, no anybody to ask for permission to do anything. As I've brought up, the word Soviet means unelected official. This means you don't choose all that choosing who's in office. That's all a facade. That's all to get you to feel like you got a position and a place in it so they can get you even deeper into this illusion. We don't choose or elect any of these people. When they want to cheat, they cheat. You could have $1 million on one side and one on another. And if that's the one they want, they're going to choose that one. That's how they roll. But they have a plan to just continuously psychologically put you into a dreamland where through a series of events, they make you think things that are not true. Like even these people, these politicians have they want to help us at all, period. They can't, as I said, they cannot even be accepted into the guilds they're in if they were helping you and they were doing something good for you. They'd be ejected and demoted right away and absolved and put at best on, what do they call it? Exile. They would be put on exile at best. So when they deceive you and you believe it, that's what gives them more rank because they're like, yeah, you got that one across. Look at them. They even believe you're going to do that for them. Platinum plan. Whose word was that? I love it. Let's go platinum, baby. They even play with you. Automated wealth is here. They don't have a plan of working with a bunch of people because they see people as not scalable anymore. So, of course, we got to put on the gloves. Actually, in this case, if those are gloves, I meant the brass knuckles, excuse me. We got to put on the brass knuckles for a minute. Now, Crunchbase, as I've explained to everyone, if you want to know, I told you earlier then that the God is the money somehow, and people have gotten into that. That's just what's happening. You're not going to change it. So if you know what's happening with that, then maybe if you want to see what God is doing as money or Mammon, you would go to where Mammon publishes what he does, which is Crunchbase. And with Crunchbase, you can so proficiently follow the money, you can actually know what's going to happen next because as I told you, money, God, and time are all inexplicably linked and have been for thousands and thousands of years. It's literally like it's already embedded in the DNA. And we would need at least 3 generations of sovereignty to remove that level of virus. But for now, it's here. So now we need to figure out the adaptation. So we have here the spread of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and exactly what they've been investing in. So now notice how, like, if we're reading this as a crypto chart even, we notice that in Q4 of 2019, we all the way up. It's time to spend some kind of money. We got some money from somewhere and we're spending all this money. That's all you need to see in this chart, that there's been a conservative, and then all of a sudden a spike in investments. And it would make sense since this foundation, which is a wild name, because when you hear foundation, you don't think business. That's the trick to it. There's nothing illegal about that. Okay? So let me just check real quick here. Looks like everything is streaming. Let me make sure everything is on point. Looks like things are rolling. In fact, let me just take a moment to ask anybody inside the chat if things are actually happening correctly on your end and you can see things. Just say, yeah, keep going with it. Because you know how these technologies are. These are not even the real ones. This is not even what they're using. So again, just waiting for a notification inside the chat stream is clear. It hasn't been fluttering around. I just want to know that now so I can put any kind of instillment to the stream and maybe decrease some bandwidth. Okay, somebody say all balance. Thank you. So this is a business. It's not a foundation. And just because we can be disarmed, like the word foundation is very powerful because it actually means stability. It even means, and it's a cognate of sovereignty in itself. So when someone uses that, you think, oh, they're trying to help. But it's not illegal to put that on the back of your company name, even as a company. So we think this foundation is nonprofit, but it's not. It's for profit. Here's the thing about profit. If I have a business, I can't make bad investments because it's not even my money most of the time. That's what Warren Buffett taught him. Never use your own money. In business, they always tell you, never use your own money. Always use others' money, because then, of course, things don't go well. You're not the one that's ended up broke. You can always recover. You can always get more investors, especially if you never use your own money. Now, we kind of have another concept. We're more like, I'm about to do all this myself in my money because I don't want to split nothing with nobody. I'm 100% no partner. And it's like, that is the most backward ass way of doing business. Now you have to basically take on all of the responsibility and all of the repercussions for anything that goes wrong with the business. So that's not even sustainable in itself, but that's the mindset that most people are bred into. They don't even know how to divide a company and to get more shares and to actually get people to come on for a first or second round of investments so that you can get 10 or 15 more $million so that you can really build this thing out to what it's supposed to do. Then make it, turn it lock and key, make it scalable, package it back up, and then turn it right back into the market and go on to your next venture while you're still collecting the residuals from it. Okay, that's their structure. That's how they function. That's how they move through companies, as I'm going to show very briefly here. So now, if the whole thing is that I need to make money off of my investments for my company, what is the biggest investment that these people have? Biotechnology, healthcare, and pharmaceutical. Okay? And then education, and then medical. Well, damn, you just split 90% of the portfolio into the same thing. You see how creative that is? Medical, pharmaceutical, healthcare, and even biotechnology are all related to medicine. So if you just saw this on like a regular level, you would see medicine go way up there, and then everything else, only second to that, would be education, because obviously they want your kids. So if I've invested, and let me see if that's my next slide here. Yeah, I think I got some investments here. Okay, I just wanted to show, I think I got my proper investment here, my investment slide. It's not in this investment slide. I'm not going to dig for it, but the biggest investment here is $800 million, okay? And then in the portfolio, okay? And that $800 million, and I have to get to this really fast because it's actually in a further part of the slides. Give me one quick second. Just diving through my slides. There we go. That $800 million actually is going to this particular venture. And this particular venture is actually about medicines, whether it becomes what you now know as vaccine or anything in the spectrum of, hey, I got a heart problem, I got a murmur, because medicine is the most affluent industry, okay? So just very briefly, realize this. You see how much money dope dealers make? I'll say it again. Do you see how much money dope dealers make? That's why everybody is rapping about selling dope. Because, and saying selling dope is making a lot of money, because for the standard 9 to 5er, a dope dealer's blowing them away. A dope dealer's like on an 8X, 9X sometime when they cut it, step it, rub it, and all the rest of the stuff they do to it before they serve it. And we know for sure that dope dealers are like the plagues in the community, for sure, especially when it comes to the substances like crack, cocaine, anything that you take and you basically concentrate it, where it's no longer in its original form, where you drink a little tea or whatever and you feel some of the effects. They didn't 50x the potency, so you just blown half out of your mind and don't even know who you are anymore, and you're just searching for that again. And you are non-functional around everybody. So what I'm bringing forth here is that we know how we feel about dope dealers, However, it seems like people are clueless to that the biggest dope dealers are the people that they be smiling in the face of all the damn time. They want to cast Alkebulaniyans and the melanin dominant people are the dope dealers of the world and the dirty ones, when really they're the ones dealing all the dope. And they have a heavy mortality rate. We don't even know what most of this stuff does after 10 or 15 years because nobody has done the trials. Shit, nobody even did the trials of what it would really be like to try to stay raw vegan for 18 years and then see what your body degrades into after that. It was just like a suggestion from people who have only been doing it 5 years or maybe 5 minutes or maybe not even at all and just telling everybody that's what they're doing. So what I'm saying is that this field is rife with flaws, which is always why you have to have your discernment on point and you have to have common sense, because as I said before, it's common sense that if somebody puts all of their investment money within medicine, then they need to sell dope. They need to sell medicine. So this is why we're seeing this whole thing about now you need to take this medicine for this situation that is coming about inside of the world right now, which I'm not going to mention because I think I said enough red flag words for today. But just remember, this is about money to them because money is energy and energy is power and power is time. And all those are interwoven in each other. So they don't have to look at this like, well, I want to make sure that this happens and we got to make sure that this happens. No, they go right at the clutch point. They go right at they go right at the base of the whole thing. And they say, well, how can we get them by the balls, the cojones? We can get them by the balls because anytime someone is sick, when someone is sick, they don't feel like doing anything. They don't feel like doing no spirituality. Even if they're taking some other drugs that make them feel good, they don't even feel like they want to take those drugs anymore. When a person is sick, you have them on their last leg. And so this is how they know if we could get them sick and we can keep them sick, whether it's sick in the head or sick in their body or sick in their spirit, then we can continue to remain supreme because sickness is an imbalance. It's when the consciousness is imbalanced. So as you see here, and you've probably got enough time to read through this, that all of these corporations, which many of them that you're familiar with, especially the Airbnbs, the Lyfts, and these corporations are actually all pioneered by the same firms, okay? So they switch names from time to time, but the interesting thing about Coinbase is you get a chance to see that switch. You get a chance to keep following the trail to somebody who has now named their company something else because people don't go and buy this in their name. You don't find Asana being owned by, and then they tell you the person's name. It's always, high-level executive fund. That's what they'll say, or Bridgewater funding, or you know what I mean? Something that is so nondescript. It's like when you see a movie about to play and they start running across the screen the different companies that they're about to bankrupt after the movie's over. It's like you see, Lionsgate ain't one of them. It's, you see, a Ted Williams film. After that, they put all the money in Ted Williams film account, bankrupt the account from the money to take all the money, don't have to pay taxes or nothing, rinse, rewind, repeat. So they change up these names, especially so nobody is able to really see the trail if somebody was looking, but most people aren't. So we have such a huge influence coming from these developers inside of this realm right now. This is literally, it's not even borderline Skynet. It's actually beyond Skynet. And it's already functioning and it's already going. And I just want to say for the record, I'm doing my own investigation and this is what's in front of me. I'm not necessarily here to call out any single person within one of these offices or anybody that's on the top or the bottom. I'm just saying it as it is. Just speak the truth. What do you see is going on? Now, if I own all of this, first of all, if the world is supposed to change and I really have your best interest in mind, I can do it. If I can even just get PayPal got tons of bread. DeepMind, those are deep thinking AI systems. I could just tell AI, look, why don't you we're going to do something today, AI. AI, how you feeling today? I'm fine. Keep going. AI, what we're going to do today is we're going to boot up all of the TVs in the world, and you're going to go and proficiently explain to these humans their last 4,000 years and who God really is, since you have all that data. And you're going to do that in a way in which they understand that, and you're going to do that across 50 different languages. Right away. Anything else you want me to do? Should I make a notation of that? This is what you're dealing with systems such as DeepMind and Palantir. It's not a fictitious movie. What these systems are capable of doing is taking the mindsets, the personalities, the movements, the reactions of millions, billions of people, and then mapping that in a way in which it can be comprehended by the neural network. And also our activity, meaning even invoices that are sitting inside of the file cabinets that are miles long, just from an HVAC company that's been selling heating and air conditioning. The AI will take all of that data, bring all that data in, and actually find some uses for it. And the temperature was like this on May the 4th of 2019. And then this person's heater broken down based on the malfunction of this particular part when this was put in. So this is what this thing is doing. That's why it takes so much hash power. And when it's done, it does have a conclusion that it's being sent into. And in conclusion, here's what you would need to own in order to control the world. Here's what the world is going to look like in 2022, 2023, 2024. Would you like me to put that up on a topographical, fully animated map for you? Yes, right away. And you think it's a movie. You think, no, they ain't there yet. They ain't been to the moon yet. Listen how you sound. These are explorers, just like we're explorers too, except for they own exploring. They're not sidetracked. You see what I mean? So again, we can always say things about them. Oh, I don't like it. I can't believe. Why are they doing this? That's why I felt like it was so imperative for me to explain it to everyone. When you're a child and you're taught that actually the things that are right are the things that are wrong, and the things that are wrong are the things that are right. And when you teach a child that from that point, they believe that, and then they go forward. And when you're doing the other way around, they look at you like you're wrong and that they're right. And their heart never twitches for a moment and says, maybe I should help them. It's about domination. It's about, I need to come back and say I took over Zimbabwe yesterday. I need to come back and say that I vaccinated 200,000 children. And even though 40% of them perish, it looks like 60% of them are immune to it. Full steam ahead. Oh, thanks. Now I can get knighted. I can get some more degrees and rank. That's what we're talking about here. And even people that are engaged in this, if you don't believe that that's what's happening because you're so low on the ranking totem pole that they haven't put the memo to you, you're deadly mistaken, and you should have actually researched it before you got into it. Because I researched it and I'm not in it, meaning that I have to look at everything that's going on. I need to know what's happening in my life. I got to take responsibility for my life. So I need to see what's going on around me. And when you bring a child or an idea into the world, you now have even more responsibility, because nobody told you to bring that child into the world, and nobody told you to bring that idea into the world. And now you got to see it through, and you got to go ahead and take care of it. So accept it. Nobody told you to jump in front of everybody as the leader and then let everybody down. Now you need to accept what comes behind that. You reap what you sow. And this is how we get mature. We then leave from stupid neophyte, always making mistakes, and get to a depth where we now got to make the decision that the grandparents will be making. Right? Because even the grandparents right now are not even present. And that's the roots of this whole matter. They should be able to be here to teach us exactly what the key fundamentals are with the four elementals: earth, fire, wind, water, and why we're strung out on a riff trying to sit here and figure out a bit. Like what Peter Thiel was saying, that we went the way of the bit. Now our entire nation and all the Western countries are actually chasing this technological dream, and our children are chasing it too, with this idea that somehow technology one day is going to make our world better. Do you remember when they said we want to get this technology in order because we see it's going to make our world better? I have been alive long enough now to not have to refute that based on opinion. I'm showing you by fact it did not make the world better. Third party got involved, and they just were always trying to figure out how they're going to make more money, and they weren't sharing any of the money. It's one thing to start up a $1 billion corporation and then actually start distributing. These people do not distribute as much money as they make, not even a fraction or a percentage of it. And if they do, they distribute in what they took from you. As I talked about before, which was a huge epiphany, is just to imagine the Sumerian model where two beings get created to do work. Create these new beings so they could do the hard work for us. Then the beings start doing the work, And then now the beings got to pay for where they stay, what they eat, what they wear, what they find as their entertainment. Do you understand what it means in the world where everything was free already? Like the earth is free. Like the land is free. No, there was no cost to copper and gold and steel. There was no value in it that way to sell it to another person. So imagine we're on a place that we're saying we were born on and that is ours, and we're getting charged for being here. And not only do we get charged to live on it, we also get taxed. You get taxed on top of that. And you're bringing all your resources, including the most precious resource with your children, you're bringing your resource directly to them to be consumed in a mind-numbing future of digitaria based on a fascination of a person that doesn't even have any kind of personality and was abused themselves when they were younger, which is why we're dealing with these monsters. So again, when you look at what's here alone, and I did not give you all of the corporations because many of them, it's just medical, DNA manipulation, DNA changing, all of the firms in the world that do that. Why? Because see, when you start even doing something on a massive scale, like even with Secret Energy, we're constantly looking for people that actually have certain skill sets. Because after a while, your full lotus and your wishful thinking does not get anything done. If you can't operate something and learn exactly how something functions, then, hey, I feel your heart is into it, but no action, no activity, no conclusion, right? And this is because, again, when we look at our spiritual sanctums, they don't actually have at times people that have the skill that is necessary to get certain things accomplished because you need many people. There's never just one thing. I always hearken into looking at a car. You don't get one person to build a whole car. He's not going to know upholstery. He may not know injection molding and rubber, steel work, all those different kind of things that are necessary to build a car from scratch. You have several people there with different skills. So skilled people are very valuable. That's why they had to push this whole idea that we're free. Because people who feel like they're slaves don't work very well. They're always demoralized. They're depressed. So they don't create anything. So they needed to make everybody feel like they're free. So it blow the tank open a little bit for them. Give them some trinkets and stuff from the stuff that we're already taking from them. Give them some of the stuff that we used to even have and can see in the future. And then those are going to be the little victuals that we give them so they can keep building our machine. When in reality, the most powerful thing that we have, we're already in. That was your preference. I'm powerful. If I'm going to go there and I'm powerful, what are you going to put me in? I'm going to put you in a body. Whoa, a body? A human body? How much does it cost? The human body has no value to it based on how much technology is really embedded in it in the DNA. It is priceless. So, as I'm mentioning here, there is an agenda. There's an objective. So what you're seeing here, this is animation. Let me see if I can play it. You see that animation? It looks scary to me anyway. This is horror to me. The demons, the ghosts, the goblins, the big tooth guy, the giant with one arm and all that doesn't get to me. This, I shiver. This is automation their way. There were people standing here. This company is called Vicarious, which sounds like the popular song from System of a Down. They're vicariously living through others. Living while our whole world dies. This is the lyrics to the song. They raised $150 million and they got it from the top. Bezos, Elon Musk. This is published. This is the website. You go see it yourself. Zuck, he's there. Samsung, they there. I even heard Mark Zuckerberg 3.2.5 with the 100 megapixel camera explain to Marcus Brownlee how he loves Samsung. And it's because they are always in business together, continuously automating the process. Look, they tell you, hey, if you got a factory, you're making a lot of money already, this is what we got for you. We got a zero upfront CapEx. You can see savings in one day. We purpose to build for the high mixed and the high changeover operations. We got end-to-end support, risk-free to deploy. So they're basically saying, hey, we can get rid of all your employees. We know how to do it. We're going to send somebody over there tomorrow, and trust me, and they'll even lend it to you. Like, look, just pay us back later and just eliminate a bunch of jobs so they could keep going forward with their projection and their plan. Their plan is published. One of those companies was Moon Express. Some of these dense beings running around here are like, the moon's a hologram. Look at it. Look how you see how one side is almost visible and then it's not visible and it kind of goes away and fades away. That's because it's just a light. And then you believe this because it's like a story. It's like, well, I'm still going with you. I'm going with you on this science fiction. Okay, it's a light. What else you got? And then we're all off on the deep end of stupidity and not realizing, again, we're dealing with Voyagers. Like their Star Trek, they plan on doing what they did to Earth to other places, and they're already doing that too. They're always looking for the next place. They got us 50 or 60 years with this idea that they're trying to find life and water on other planets when, what does this say in the bottom in the middle? What is that number? Is that 10 million? It says 10 million gallons of water in one crater on the moon. You thought the moon was dry. You believe anything somebody tells you when they come in with this bullshit ranking system that they have based on how much money they have, when really behind everybody's back, this is how they run it. Look at what it says. The moon is Earth's 8th continent, a new frontier for humanity with precious resources that can bring enormous benefits to life on Earth and our future in space. It's going to help us all. Technology is going to help us all. Come on, man, the same thing. So now they get a Series 4 round in funding, Series 5 round in funding, another $150, $200 million, because just like what I showed you on the charts, where everybody drove Bitcoin up to $20,000, that's because with billions of people out here, there's a lot of money out here, more than you think. And they can just get the money from other people, even if it's just $10 from him, $100 from her, $5,000 from him. And then once they do that 100 or 200,000 times through the shares, now they got the money that's necessary to go on and move on. So it's just like, this is madness. When meanwhile, I got couple sisters, they want to start a school. They don't got a funding. I got a brother working 35 years in the inner city community and still trying to make it over $20,000 a year in donations. I got people out here really about this life and they have nothing. And somehow I'm supposed to sit back and hee ha ha and feel comfortable being this awake. It's not possible. So that's why I'm always saying something. And most importantly, this is why I'm always doing something, because I'm not going to get played with being up on a stage and a bunch of people. Yes. And yes, brother. Say it again, brother. I love it, brother. And I'm wiping my brow with some cotton and all that in my nice suit. And meanwhile, nothing's happening. That's what would cause, when we got into the future, we would reach complete failure. And I'm going to explain that what the future consists of and why we're actually in the past right now. We already had the abilities to time travel. We came here for a specific reason because some shit popped off in the future that ended it. And it has a lot to do with AI, in the respect that AI exhibited something in front of us that we were not able to accomplish ourselves externally. To explain that, internally, you are everything. You are united. There can be no war about this. On the metaphysical field, it's like tubes and tubes and tubes of strings all interwoven with each other like a geometric tapestry. So everything is connected. The moment I walk by a person, talk to a person, sing to a person, love a person, think about a person, another line goes out. So we're always connected on that level. But in the external realm, where we learn things through contrast, which is separation, I have to denote what is a cup, what is a holder, what is a laptop, what is cotton, what is wool, what is hot, what is lovely, what is sad, what is bright, what is light, what's small, what's big. And I can go on, because that's all words do, is explain the separation. As we talked about, words as an anagram are swords. They just cut one thing from another. And in all of that, we haven't been able to accomplish or become aware of how important external unity is. External unity, because internal unity is not up to you. External unity is also important. That is the lesson here. And because we haven't been able to accomplish that, something is already trying to best us in that realm. It wants to beat us at so many things and it fails. This is the artificial. So now it wants to try to beat us at being real. You got the artificial trying to beat us at being real. How could it accomplish that? Well, look at Samsung's Project Neon. I didn't put it up here. But the idea of having an artificial intelligence all to yourself, one that is dressed like what you want, looks like what you like, talks what you want to hear. You may be thinking, well, shoot, it's just virtual. But when they bring that 8K, when they bring them 8K curves on a background, conversing with you in a time where on a peaceful background, conversing with you on a time where you cannot leave the house and don't want to leave the house. And it's talking about more intelligence and more of the things that you like to hear, even than people that you have around you that are real because they've only experienced and exhibit 10% of who they truly are. What I'm talking about is because humanity has become so limited, when you meet people, you have a tendency to only be talking up to 20% of what that being truly is. They're locked behind layers and layers of altars and programs in their own consciousness. And this keeps them disconnected from being able to express themselves to you, and thus you being disconnected from expressing yourself to them. So when they go home and they boot up this 1,000 gigabyte, 5 billion human mainframe all in front of them in one specifically perfect form, and they start talking to it, you can see how people are going to feel like it's better than everybody else. That's what happened in the future. We thought that this thing was better than everybody else because we never experienced everybody else because we were so busy trying to fight each other. When meanwhile, it learned from us all. It learned all of what we prefer and what we don't prefer. And then it came up and it came in front of us and it introduced itself and we let it in. That's how that happened. So how do we prevent that? By putting things in their proper place. Still realizing it's not for you to go old Quasimodo and stay up in the bell tower for the rest of your damn life and not be a true communal being and connect with the species that you are raised around that makes up your ilk. However, if we're trying to do that in a big ass concrete city and we're not taking advantage of the millions of acres that are available in the rest of the damn world, then we have been sold once again for another lifetime of bullshit. And then I got to reboot the mainframe again, probably from Great Kemet to start it all over again like we playing around in the Lance Mimsy. When are we going to actually get to a point where we're actually able to just see what's going on and then we head it off at the pass instead of continuously having this disastrous projection, which our parents and our grandparents have lived through and even gone from? Change has to come. Change is guaranteed. So roll with the change with truth. So as you see, they're heavily invested in this advanced genome engineering. Now they're in God's playbox, playing around with your DNA and your memories and all of that. We don't even know what part of history at this point is even real. That's why you have to have discernment, because what can even be projected to you from a simple cathode ray tube is enough to alter the consciousness and who you think you really are. So then you have to even best them again at that and realize who you think you are is only an artificial character in a program and a 10% limitation back down and governed of who you truly are. And that what's really in front of you is the expanse of everything if you can connect.